Okay, so economics and financial services, we are back again along with personal financial literacy honors. I'm going to try a little something different this video, so bear with me. I want to make sure I try to get more videos out every day. So this one's going to have very minimal editing, and all of my audio is going to be recorded on the camera. So you might hear an echo until I can get that sorted out. Just bear with me. But this video is for after your class. So after our class discussion, once that's all said and done, your homework assignment will be to watch this video, which will then help us proceed forward going to the next, let's check this out, going to the next phase of this course. You remember, some of you are on NAF track, so I want to make sure that you all finish, and to see how far along we are, this is it. This is what before you get to that presentation at the end, there's 14 units, so we're still on lesson 1. Granted, we had a very slow start, so hopefully we could pick up and get through all of these units to the point that you can give your presentations. And once you can get to your presentation, then for especially those seniors who do not have the full NAF track certification, we can get another course in the second semester, and at that point those seniors can then get their certification. They'll get their graduation cord and all that good stuff. All right, so let us continue with this lesson. So we started last class and we kind of jumped the gun a little bit. We went a little bit too far ahead. So this is the anticipation guide for financial services. You are going to build upon prior knowledge as you begin to engage with some of the topics covered in this course. So those topics that we've been discussing over these past few classes, this is going to be expanded upon throughout the entire course. So the things about the FDIC and whatnot. So first, read the directions for Student Resource 1.1, Anticipation Guide Financial Services. We have done that. It is not important to figure out what the right answer is. It is more important to share what you think. Okay, so when we finish this in class, one thing that's very important is just make sure that you don't think there's a right answer or there's a wrong answer. There's no right or wrong. It's more about what you think and then what you learn afterwards. Okay, so what you should be doing in class today is completing my guess and my reason for the rest of the anticipation guide. We only did the first 2. We will now be continuing throughout the rest of it. And though it says in the next class period, we're gonna go, it's done. Class is over. So we're doing the review of the anticipation guide together right now. So for your homework, this is what you're watching. You remember this, all right? This was the first question. We've actually spent 2 classes going over that one. Savings accounts in banks are the smartest investment because banks are insured by the FDIC. You're going to guess whether you agree or disagree and give your reason for your guess. You do not need to fill in the I learned part yet. Some of you already have based on the conversations, that's fine, but you didn't have to fill that part out yet. Some types of financial services organizations prey on the naive and uneducated. We also discussed that one. You put your guess whether you agree or disagree, the reason behind whether or not you agree or disagree, and again, what you've learned. If you haven't learned anything yet, don't worry about it. This is where we left off last class. So globalization in the financial services field is difficult because the currency exchange rates change constantly. Now, I was gonna go in to talk about that, but obviously time ran out. We were running low on time, and it wasn't the time to go into it at that point. We're gonna be discussing that later on in the course. So right now, you just need to guess whether you agree or disagree, and your reason. You'll have done this by the time you see this video, and then we'll discuss the what you've learned part afterwards. Have a few more. Stocks are a better long-term investment than bonds. Once again, you're going to agree or disagree and give the reason why you agree that stocks are a better long-term investment than bonds, or if you disagree, and you think that bonds may be a better long-term investment than stocks. So that's up to you. Just make sure you give a good enough reason to justify why you've made whatever decision you made. It is always better, always, that's a word you always want to be careful of when you see it on an exam. It is always better to pay for something when you buy it than to borrow money to pay for it. Agree or disagree, and put your reason. Be skeptical on any test, not just business or finance, in any test when you see the word always. It should be like always and never. Those should always, make you feel a little bit skeptical. You should look into those questions a little bit more. So we have two more. We have an insurance agent is a career position that falls under financial services. What do you think? Do you think that an insurance agent is a career position that falls under financial services? Agree, disagree, and then write down your reason. Government regulations require financial services companies to specialize in one type of product. What do you think? You agree, disagree, and you put your reason. Okay, so hopefully by the end of class you will have finished all of that, and now we're moving on to the next portion where we're going to review that anticipation guide. So for your homework, and then what we'll be discussing next period, are the results of that. All right, so first thing you're going to do, you're going to practice sharing your opinions and listening to your classmates' perspectives as we review the rest of the anticipation guide together. You'll start by pairing with the student next to you. I think everybody in this class sits next to at least one person. So compare your responses and discuss your reasoning. We might do this as a class just because it's all of us together. It's not that many of us. Afterwards, I'll call on some of you to share your reasoning for each statement. And this is the part, this is why you're watching the video. This is the homework portion. To see whether or not you got your answers. These are not necessarily the right answers or the wrong answers. Like I said, there's no such thing as right or wrong answers. These are answers that have been provided by a member in an employee in the financial services field, right? So this doesn't represent all financial services employees, but this is at least one person's opinion answering all of these questions. So the first one, savings accounts are the smartest investments because banks are insured by the FDIC. The financial services professional disagrees with this, stating a person's financial situation determines the smartest investment for them. Bank savings accounts might be the best place for certain people to put their money, but it really depends on their financial circumstances at the time. For other people, the smartest investment might mean stocks, or a combination of stocks and a savings account. It is true that banks' deposits are insured by the FDIC, but that does not necessarily mean it is the smartest investment. Next, some types of financial services organizations prey on the naive and uneducated. I think everybody in class agreed on that. It is important that people investigate and educate themselves about financial services before they decide how to handle their finances, because some investments are better than others, and some investments are actually bad. And we can have a conversation about those as well. Globalization in the financial services field is difficult because the currency exchange rates change constantly. And I think I touched upon that with the exchange rate between the USA and China when I was living in China. So this financial services professional agrees, saying that currency exchange rates add an additional variable to investing that must be researched and understood. While it's true that an understanding of exchange rates is important before investing globally is certainly possible, and if done well, can benefit the investor. So it doesn't mean you shouldn't, but just be careful if you are investing globally. Let's move on. Stocks are a better long-term investment than bonds. This financial services professional disagrees. Says sometimes, but not always, stocks are better long-term investments than bonds. It depends on many things. In particular, an investor should examine the market and the stocks and bonds they are considering. So it's one of those it depends answers, which I'm not particularly fond of, but there you go. Remember, I told you to be careful of the word always. It says it's always better to pay for something when you buy it than to borrow money to pay for it. And this person disagrees, says sometimes it makes more sense to borrow money than to pay for something with cash, and that's definitely true in the business field. Some of you have taken accounting applications, so you might know this, the benefits of purchasing items on credit versus just buying them outright. But yeah, we'll discuss it more in this course regardless. Insurance agent is a career position that falls under financial services. So if you agreed, you are correct. And insurance companies are considered financial services providers because they work with money and investments. Insurance agents fall into that category. Remember, really what they're dealing with is the money and the odds of whatever they're insuring happening or not happening. But it is money. It's money paid into the insurance plan, and it's also the money that the insurance company has to pay out if whatever happens, whatever's being insured happens to, whether if it's an item and it gets stolen, whether it's health and you get sick, life insurance and the person dies, homeowners insurance and a natural disaster happens. So whatever it may be, there is always a monetary transaction involved. So yes, it does fall under financial services. Government regulations require financial services companies to specialize in one type of product. Another way you could think about this, if you're thinking about like an exam, is think about it saying only one type of product. That's another one of those always, never, only is another one that should raise a red flag. In the past, government regulations required financial services companies to specialize, but laws have changed in recent years to allow them more flexibility in their offerings. Okay, and on to the last slide. This is it. This is a short video for this class. And the reason it's short is because I want to discuss this here and now, and then we're going to bring this discussion into class. So for this class, they do require a course notebook. But it's my understanding that it's more like a course portfolio or a folder or a binder. It's going to contain all the work you've done. So I'm still not sure the best way to do this, and this is why I want to have this as a class discussion to see what is the best way for us to have this course notebook. Is it better for us to use it to have like just a regular spiral bound notebook? But if so, then can you put the tabs in it to make sure you jump to the right lesson or the right chapter or the right unit? Is it better to have a folder where you could put things with hole punches in it? Is it better to have a binder? I'm not sure, and I want you to give me some input on this. So think about this. This class does require that we keep a notebook with all of your work in it. And I'm not sure if that's going to be a part of your grade or not. I haven't gotten that far into the syllabus, but I do know that it is a necessary component for this course. So I want your input. Think about it a little bit. Next class, we will discuss a course notebook and what the best way to do that is. All right, so that's it. Look how short this video was. I said that I would try to keep them all under 15 minutes. Sorry, under 30 minutes. This one's under 15 minutes. So you have nothing to complain about for this video. The next one may also be short. I don't know yet, but that's it for this video. Finish that worksheet, the what I've learned portion of the anticipation guide, and that will go into your course notebook, and we'll discuss that course notebook in the next class.